Hello, in this video, I will explain how you use your Portfolio Slicer reviews data. We install Portfolio Slicer in my PS data folder. So the very first thing that you start with is setting up your scripts uh, in the scripts folder psconfig. So really, when you deal with Portfolio Slicer, you'll be editing two files, psconfig and then Excel source file. When PowerShell script runs, they read psconfig file and they extract data from the web, and then they read source file and they prepare everything and prepare all the files required for reports to be loaded. So we'll start with psconfig. Very first step you have to decide is what is the minimum date you're gonna be working in Portfolio Slicer with. Usually I recommend at least 3 years back because you wanna look at the history. It's not just a snapshot in a current time, you wanna look back in the history. The more back you look, the more you need to enter transactions. So that means if you're looking for last 3 years, now it's 2026, you would wanna have a data for 25, 24, 23, full data. That means you would set this as 2022, 12/31. So last day of the year before you enter, that's is set up like that because you will enter all these kind of a symbol transfer in or transactions to set up your environment for the start of year 2023. And then you'll have a year 2023, 24, 25 fully in Portfolio Slicer. 26 you'll have a couple months right now. So that's how you kind of have this mindset. Really, you have to remember this date, 2022. You'll have to set it up again once in the Excel source file. We already set source file location. That's all good. The currencies you're working with. So really, you don't need to change any other configurations here. Maybe generated quotes. I'll come back to this one. The currencies you're working with, it's a 3-symbol standard currencies. Will work for 2 currencies, USD and Canada. And then in a Yahoo section, so we have a Yahoo section here, you would enter investments that you will be tracking. So what's Yahoo section? So some volunteers from for Portfolio Slicer community, it's amazing people who created some PowerShell scripts that allows to get data from the websites, different websites. There is a Google, it used to be Google, there is a Stook and some other websites. And Yahoo is been proven to be most reliable provider of financial data. So Alpha Vantage, this is another provider, but many people using just Yahoo website, and it allows you to to extract data from their website, or the people wrote the scripts to do that. So really what you want to hear is you want to list investments you are working with. What I mean by symbol, what the symbol means in this case, let me just put it here. If you go to website financeyahoo.com, the symbol really means here it's a ticker, right? Sort of. So if you look at, for example, VT, that's Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. So the symbol here, what we quote here is VT. You can also enter it here. For example, in Canada, there is a symbol XEI.TO. So that's another symbol or ticker or investments that you're dealing with. So when you have your investment, you'll have to come back in a Yahoo website or identify what is the ticker for that symbol. And then if you want to track the quotes for that, you would have to enter under Yahoo section. So we have a VT Total Stock Market XEI.TO, that's a symbol. We can have a VU, we have a Apple, we can get our CL, for example. So let's say we'll be dealing with these 5 investments, right? Or these 5 stickers. You enter information about them, and what's really going to happen when you enter information, when you run scripts, the quotes will be picked up. We'll just go and see that in a moment. You can provide a bit more information. For example, if you're starting to track data from 2022 December, but you first time you bought Oracle just in 2026. So here you can specify min date 2026-01-01. And for example, for Apple, you might not want to get quote after 2025. So for example, you sold Apple in 2025 December, right? So you would put something like this. So the first parameter is symbol, the next one is min date. If you look here, min date, max date, intraday, and dividends. Dividends is ignored, and then so you can say min date, the max date. You can provide an intraday flag, yes. You want an intraday. Dividends are ignored right now. The factor history factor intraday, that's for European stock providers. Sometimes they, like the investments in UK might be provided in pence on pound, so everything should be converted in pence. So if the stock, sorry, to pound, if price comes in pence, you can put a factor here as 10 for history or intraday, and that would convert that pence price to the pound price. So you have some flexibility here. For now, I remove these additional parameters. I just want all data here. And basically what we set up here, Yahoo symbols, and we set up currencies. And now we're gonna go and run, this was a script folder again, ps config. We go here and we'll run update ps data. Before I run update ps data, I wanna point out, here we have just a scripts for folder right now. When you run this, there will be more subfolders automatically added, quotes, currency exchange, where these scripts store locally data. So they go to website, pick up the data, and store locally. So let's run. It opens in another window. I'll move it here. So now what happens is that we go and extract, and you see these folders were added, quotes, intraday, currency exchange, intraday dividends. That's from previous version. You can ignore it. There is not automatic dividend extract now. So we extracting data for what you requested, and that's what you get. Error message. Press Ctrl+C to stop this. So because otherwise the window disappears. This is very expected. You haven't set up Excel source file here. So what this message tells is that it's quickly says, it tells you that Apple, you have quotes for Apples, but you haven't set up symbol like that here. You have a quote for Oracle, but you haven't set up symbol like that yet. We'll go and set it up. So the very first run is you would expect this to be not successful. So we close it right now. You can quickly go in the quotes and see, for example, how Apple, we extracted quotes for Apple. So every day, for every date from 2023, we have a quote. And the quote is kind of format date quote symbol. You can see that all their quotes are by month. We converted even, we have a daily quotes, we converted by month, but the last quotes last like 30 days or 20 days, we have a daily quotes. That's how we store it. That's because after we extracted Apple, we split it in two files. Apple, what we use, and Apple archive. So this is kind of a quotes from the, from the archive quotes, which we, if you merge these two files, you would get the full daily quotes, and the same for all the other quotes here. We have a quotes intraday, that's a current date quotes, just nothing in there because it's a Saturday, we don't have a dates. And the same for currency exchange. We have for each currency pair, we have from Canadian to USD, that was exchange rate for that date. Currency exchange is daily for the whole file. So this is, we extract the data. What that means, that next time we run the same file, it will run much faster because it will just request the data that is missing since the last extract, not an extract. So we run the first time extract data, it failed, expected. So the next place we're gonna do is enter data in the source file. Okay, so this is how it normally works. At the beginning, you kind of a bit you interact between psconfig and the source. Later, most your input will be in a source file. So we set up here the same day, 2022, 12/31. So you want to track cache, yes or no? It's up to you. We can set it for now, no. I usually like to track cache because I match my investment transactions to the penny or to the cent, and what that means is that when I enter, buy transactions or something, I also compare at the very end if what is bank providing me and what I have in Portfolio Slicer matches exactly. So in a config, we entered 2022 12/31. We can go to PS data scripts and PS config and confirm that that's a date, 2022 12/31. We enter. So that was the first data we entered. Usually you enter it once, you forget it. Transaction type, it's a special table, ignore it, don't look at it. Unless you can remember these transaction types are supported. DRIP and DRIP TA is not supported, but everything else supported. That's in documentation. You can see that documentation online. Report currency. So we're dealing with two currencies already entered here, Canada USD. If you don't like USD, you can select this, right mouse click, delete, table row. And if you're working just with them, because Control Z, I'll restore it back. We're working with the two currencies right now. That's all good. Account. So I have a one record in here, but in this one you can say my or V1 or account 1, and then we can enter account 2. So account 1 is it's red, tells me you cannot enter the same name. I'll say account 2. It's the portfolio you can assign to whatever you want. You can have a different cash. It's kind of just a grouping of accounts. The currency is critical field here because currency tells when you enter anything in transaction files what sort of currency that transaction is. It active will say yes. Group is just something, you can group whatever you want. You can say bank, Chase, something else, or something else what you want. Group 2, you can group it differently. It can say this is a cash account. Everything else will be maybe RSP, TFSA, 401k, and so on. You can leave it. And this is not implemented. Sort of right now. So this is your account. So accounts really represent your account in investment institution closely. You have some comments here if you read about each field, if you hover it. Let's move on. Allocation. At this point, I'll leave it as it is. So allocation means sometimes you have your portfolio and you say, okay, I'm going to put 50% in Canada, 50% in US, or split it any other ways, maybe a little bit cash, a bit Canada, but US, a bit emergencies, or a bit non-US and so on. The important part here is that anytime you put anything in an index, that means it's used when symbol is assigned to index, it's used to compare how your portfolio did comparing to that index, for example. So for now, we can ignore it. It's kind of gets complicated. What you have to be aware that some of these target percent should be always 100. Symbol. So this is where you enter, if you remember, in the symbols in Yahoo section. So we had the symbols like this. So VT, XEI. So we have to enter information about these symbols. Control C, and what I see space special, and I'll space text. Just we need to enter all these symbols so it doesn't complain when we run the script. If you remember, you have a symbols in Yahoo, you have a half of these symbols here. So we can just call it shortly. I'll call it XEI or Canada XEI, but you have to enter correct name is S&P 500, Apple, Oracle, just a name. Okay, so currency, that's a critical here field. Cash, USD, USD, USD. These are management expense ratio MERs. Apple, Yahoo, they don't. This is 0.03. You have to find this website somewhere in website this information, and here you enter XEI, the currency 0. I don't remember 0. Let's say 6 will enter here. Okay, allocation. If you remember, we already set up allocation here. What we have a cash or US. So really, I'll put just everything under US right now. I don't want to complicate the things. It's used in certain reports, but it's not important right now. So sector sum. So right now we haven't entered any information about sector. Currency base is not implemented, not used right now here. So you kind of provided basic information about symbol, and you need that. It's critical. Symbols here and symbols in your eventually created quotes table should be the same. So this is sectors. Okay, so what we do here is you enter the sector. So for each symbol. That each symbol can have a 50% this sector, 50 another one. This information available online, Morningstar or some other stuff. If you don't want to deal with this, what you do is for now is just you say xei.io and the sector just other and 100%, right? So you can start with this. You can say WU other 100%. Really, you will want later to track it. Apple Oracle, Apple other 100%, and Oracle ORCL other 100%. So you want to do. You can also say technology, and that's sensitivity. You can see automatically looked up from this table. Oracle also technology, and kind of enter. So it's for starters, just enter basic information. Later you'll add more. Symbol allocation, just leave it as it is. For now, there is one record, just leave it as it is. Symbol alias, you wanna sometimes name something differently. So if you enter S&P 500 and that's how your bank enters, you can enter that names means WU. Sorry, I'll press Ctrl Z to go back, and so it doesn't have an empty row. So I'll just enter alias. This is just in transactions table when you enter transactions. Okay, nowhere else. And now we enter transactions. So right away we have account red because we don't have this account, we rename. So really we have to enter here account. So 2022 12/31. Red is not correct date. This is format correct. So I recommend for every account the very first transaction to be deposit, even if you don't track cash. You later might consider it. So we'll start with this. Deposit cash 0. Account 2, 2022, 12/31. Deposit star space cash 1, 0. So it kind of does. And we can say opening balance. So we set up accounts. Remember, one account, one is USD, another Canadian. So that's 0 US dollars and 0 Canadian dollars, what you enter here. That's very important. So now let's deposit our symbols or our investments into this account. So account 1 will have in 2022 12/31, we'll do transaction symbol transfer in, and we do transaction for Apple. So you quantity, let's say, will have 100 shares, and the price will be at the day of the transaction. It's supposed to put here the price is 50 if that's a day where the Apple was 50. And really how much you paid for this, you have to write it here. If you paid, you bought it like for $40, 100 shares some time ago, so you would enter here 4,000. I'll put it like that. $9.99 was you paid that much for the transaction. Let's say $9.99 was your transaction that you was charged by bank, and you paid $40 per each share. Some time ago, we don't know when, 2021, 2020, but that was before we started our inputs, okay? And remember, account is in US, right? For account 1 in the US. Now we enter another transaction in account 1, 2022 12/31. Again, symbol transfer in, and now ORCL here. We'll say we have 10 shares. This, let's say, cost at that day $100, but you bought it for $80. So 10 shares, so it would be $89.99. So again, I'm adding to the cost basis, I added the amount you paid to bank to buy these shares. And then add one transaction for account 2, 2022 12/31, symbol transfer in xei.io. We have this, and you have 200 shares, or let's put it simple, 100 shares. The price was at the time, let's say that day was $60. You paid $30 some time ago. So $30, $9.99. So this So this is in US dollars cost basis. This is in US dollars cost basis. This is in Canadian dollar basis. The same price here, Canadian, US. Okay, that's it. We have a compare to here. For now, we keep it empty as it is. Keep that record because we have a VT. We use symbol here VT when we want to compare to total market your investments. As we have a VT already in the symbol table defined, we don't have to worry about this. And then SRC review. So this is kind of, if you right mouse click and refresh, it tells you what you really have in account 1 and what you have in account 2. Just a quick summary of what you have where. Okay, so now let's save this. We save the source, we close it. So we enter initial information. So PS config already was configured. So what you do right now, you just change just Excel. You can run just update PS data from Excel, and that would work as well here. But I'll do update PS data. At the beginning, it's better to run this update PS data because if you miss something or something, it will react. It might match up better. So this is running now update PS data. As you can see, it runs much faster. It still does the same extract. So at the beginning, run update PS data for a bit till you're comfortable. When you're just dealing not with new symbols, just with transactions to do. So now you have no issues with the PS files. Everything is extracted because you updated symbol. This message will disappear after 10 seconds. So you go now, my PS data, you go to reports or reports light if you wanna. We'll go to reports. And that will now basically opens with the last saved data. What we do is go to data, and now we refresh with your data portfolio slicer. So this now is gonna run a couple. It's probably, as we have just very few transactions, it's gonna be very quick, but it still takes some time. It's just because of the model. It's of the complication, which I would have to explain it somewhere else. So what it does, retrieve data, that means reading data from the files. The next step is to, after reading data, it's does some calculation internally in a model. And then for every report you see here, it's 30 plus reports on these worksheets. It will recalculate every single report. It's actually more reports because here what you see here is formatted. On the very right side, there is actually multiple reports that provide data for these reports. So this was demo data that you see here. So you'll see here is now refreshing the data from the reports, and you enter data from 2022, if you remember, 12/31. Last quote here shows 2022, January 6th. So when you refresh, supposed to be last quote of today's date. And there will be last exchange data here as last exchange date as well received. So this is your investment. So if you right now you have just you enter data, nothing more, just that symbol transfer ins, right? And if you hold that symbol, like year to date, you lost this much, and account 1, you have so much money, account 2 this. You go to the holdings and they tell you how much you have, what is your cost basis. If you remember, you enter that cost per unit, total value, and so on and so forth. And then there are many more reports, like, holdings, percentage by symbol. You have a sector if you would have assigned it, and so on reports. And then your yearly changes, how these things change yearly. And so far, kind of a, this is what you see, kind of a generic information. Let's save this, and let's enter a couple more transactions, refresh, and so I'm closing this. So the way it would work now, you go back to the source, Excel source, you go to transactions, and you say, okay, account 1, 2023, for example, 03/31, and there was dividend total amount. So we enter Apple. We have 100 shares, and it gave us, 100 shares gave us $1 per share. So we received $100, right? Account 1, 2025 or 3/31, or CL, diff.ta, ORCL. We have 100 shares, and it gave us, sorry, we have 10 shares. It gave us $1 per share, so it gave us $10. And account 2, maybe in 2023 or 6, for example, or 1, we bought xei.to, we bought another 100 shares, and now we paid 100, and we actually paid as well this fee. So we enter this transaction. Sorry, we have to enter account 2. So we do that. Sorry, I'm racing. I'm showing that there's a limit how long my video can be. So I saved this. So I can go now back, level up. Sorry, my PS data, I go down in PS data extract, and I can just update PS data from Excel. This is going to be much faster. So I'm running update data PXL. So this is already updated. Or you can run the same update PS data, and now level up and portfolio slicer reports. And then you can, anywhere you can click again, data, refresh all, refresh all. So now it will add these transactions, what you entered, will match them with the quotes at the time you bought it. My prices are insane. You actually would get priced properly once, and then it would make much more sense. Keep in mind, it's 2026 right now. When you want to prepare transactions, you can easily go in and get your PDF files if they're well formatted. And just on Portfolio Slicer website at the top, there is a link AI help. If in there you will upload your transactions files and you say extract transaction for Portfolio Slicer, it prepares transactions in very well formatted kind of a spreadsheet. You just have to copy them, adjust maybe a setup account or something, and that would work well for you. Okay, so we're finishing for refresh. As soon as refresh done, you'll see the updated data here. It's still reading. It takes time. The refresh takes time. So the Portfolio Slicer reports has a lot of calculations. That's why it takes so long. Reports like it's much faster. If you're looking just the holding stuff, you can go for Portfolio Slicer light reports. It will work. They read exactly the same data from the same folder. So reports, they all read data from C Portfolio Slicer PS data folder. And then Power BI, it refreshes differently. It doesn't refresh all worksheets like it does here, every page. Because Power BI refreshes just a current page when you refresh data, it feels much faster as well. So if you, for example, at the beginning, you will be probably just looking at your holding stuff. So if you look at the holdings, that would be much faster. So this is kind of a it tells you about the cash you receive dividends, but we don't track cash, so this is kind of why you can ignore this line. And then it shows you how yearly changes, how value changed, like simple, how dividends you received. And remember, right now everything is selected in Canadian. You can actually select original currency, so that means you receive 10 or in USD. The original means there is no conversion currency. In USD means the numbers are converted now to your currency. So this is how you use it interactively. You keep updating source. When you're adding new symbol, you have to add it to the first PS config, then you add it to the symbol table in source, Excel source files, and then you basically refresh data, get new data, and that's how you work with Portfolio Slicer. Add the data, run the script to update data, and then refresh it in Excel. Okay, that's all information for this video.